The Finnish bands have found the world, but why has Louise Brown found Finland?
Why have I found Finland? Well, do you want to know the secret? I dated a guy whose mother was Finnish. So he already had this association with the country, and he had always been following the music. And of course, actually it wasn't him, it was his brother. He made me make a cup of tea once. I had to go downstairs and make the tea because it's a typical Finnish man, right?
No.
He's making me make the tea. So I go downstairs and his brother is listening to Sonata Arctica, and I'm like, what is this? And so ever since then, sort of my then boyfriend was then playing me Children of Bodom and Nightwish and Stradivarius and Amorphis and Sentenced and like all of these bands and Ensiferum, and together we discovered Terisas and we started going to all of these concerts, and I was just bewitched by all of the music coming out from that country.
It was something different for you.
Yeah, and it almost didn't matter that they were Finnish. It was just this constant barrage of music that I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. Synergy became one of my favourite bands, and I loved Nightwish because I was brought up on musicals and folk music.
Oh, right.
So the Finnish sound is very dramatic and theatrical like the musicals, but there's also the folk element with Terisas, Korpiklaani, Ensiferum, Amorphis, so that your government, the Finnish government, actually promotes heavy metal as an export blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because music does not get supported in England, full stop, let alone heavy metal music.
It's much more sort of based on your own enterprise, isn't it? It's not that any culture is not that supported, but especially heavy metal, which is much more around here.
Yeah, and bearing in mind, we invented heavy metal.
Yes.
And then it kind of went the other way.
England invented heavy metal.
The cradle of heavy metal, and so it stayed.
But we've never had support for that. Yeah. And I think that's why Finland is winning in the heavy metal race, is because you do have organisations like the Finnish Metal Expo who are willing to put money and time into promoting it. And so I went over the first time to Helsinki. I fell in love with the city, the fashion design, the interior design. I fell in love with the country. Yeah. But if you must know, my career in journalism was thanks to Finland, because I was really into this Finnish music at the right time where it was starting to be noticed in the UK. Bands like Children of Bodom and Nightwish were becoming quite popular over here. And one of the big heavy metal magazines needed someone to write about this. Uh-huh. And they came to me because I was doing a radio show where I was playing a lot of Finnish heavy metal.
And you already knew some of the people
and
knew something about it.
I was passionate about it, so they asked me to write for their magazine. And that is why I became a journalist, because I'd always been a TV producer, like working in TV, and then I became a journalist just because of the Finnish music.
I think the passion is a very good start for any career.
Yeah, if I couldn't do a job where it's 9 to 5 and I don't enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I would rather be a low-paid editor of a fantastic metal magazine than be a high-flying secretary, legal teacher or something. I couldn't do it.
And she wrote the first article about the English article about the promised land of heavy metal.
Yeah.
For the Terrorizer.
We are grateful.
So
Thank
we are grateful.
Thank you.
That's because this same ex-boyfriend, who is still a very good friend of mine, is a big fan of Sarcophagus, and he got me into Sarcophagus. And we were watching the Kimmo Kusiniemi band music videos, and we were loving them because they're just so fun to watch. And then he rang me one day and he says, you know those guys that made that Kimmo Kusiniemi films? They're making a documentary about Finnish metal. You should go on their website. And that's when I sent you an email. I was like, I'm the editor of Terrorizer and I want to see your film and I want to speak to you.
Isn't she lovely? Thank you, darling.
Well, when I was watching the film, I did think, damn, why didn't I think to make this film? But it couldn't have been me, because it needed to be someone who was from the country, who was from the music scene, and you both have been in the Finnish music scene for so many years now, and
you more than me. But
well, and especially my favourite thing in your film is when Kimmo in like the early 80s with his leather jacket and he's looking like Rob Halford and he's like, metal will never be popular in Finland.
It will never be a big thing here. It will always stay as a minority thing.
I know, and it's like, oh yeah, I bet you're regretting saying that now.
Don't leave your day job.
The film is so special. It's because it's personal, and it's a personal journey for Kimmo. And you can trace the film from that one clip of him saying Finnish metal will never be popular right through, and it's almost like a personal journey.
Yeah.
And that's why if a journalist like me had done a documentary about Finnish metal, it would have been very unbiased and objective and journalistic, and instead it's become this personal journey.
How big the Finnish metal is? Like, if you're gonna compare it to what's happening here otherwise.
Well, I think the reason there's no reason why Finnish metal is so popular, but I think it helps that there's such a nice community in the country where a lot of the bands know each other, and I think that's helped promote it, because if you see a band like Children of Bodom, who are at a height, will still be promoting bands like Diablo and Amoral, and there's a real sort of camaraderie between the Finnish bands.
Many of the bands are friends with each other.
Exactly, and so it's a nice scene, and it is a scene. It's not a manufactured scene. It's just a nice, friendly community, and I think bands like Amorphis, Sentenced, and to a bigger degree, Sonata Arctica, Children of Bodom, Nightwish. They are such great musicians and such great songwriters that they have set the bar so high.
Bloody hell, how good were they? How good was Children of Bodom?
I love Children of Bodom live, and they've set the bar so high that any new band coming into the scene, they cannot be these kind of 4-chord garage bands. They have to be they have to top what those guys are doing. So when you see the new bands coming out of Finland, they blow your mind, because they're just practicing their guitar, and they're really
so technical. They are so all over the place, brilliant.
There's no laziness in the Finnish metal scene. There's no sort of I can just start a band and get signed. Everyone is really talented.
Yeah.
I think that the Finnish metal scene is actually really supportive of women in metal. They've put women at the front, because you had Nightwish with Tarja. Now you have bands like Lulukrai, Kivimets and Druidi. I hope I said that right.
I'll find out.
And there's Amberian Dawn. There's so many bands with female singers, and I think that's because metal isn't very an open genre for women. But you have the president of Finland is female, and within the heavy metal industry in Finland, you have really powerful women behind the scenes that are running things. So
thank you.
Kiitos.